Past one, so we can go ahead and get started here. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today for Apogee and USLI's joint webinar here. We're excited to have you for a brief 30-minute, very informational 30 minutes. So today we'll be spotlighting USLI's nonprofit package product, its classes of business, and how you can quote it instantly, both online and over the phone. We want to make sure you feel confident, prepared, and equipped with the tools to support your insurance needs quickly and effectively. I'm thrilled to introduce our presenters, Hillary Buckley, underwriter on the nonprofit package team, and Nathan DeHaan, USLI's instant quote specialist. So with that, I will kick it off to Hillary to get us started. We do have the chat option available. If any questions do come up, feel free to throw your questions in there.
Hi, everyone. I'm excited to be here today. Thanks so much for joining us. I know we're trying to hang on to summer for as long as we can, but it is time to start gearing up for a lot of the back to school activities that we have going. And please feel free to chat along the way, and we can kind of talk about risks that we're starting to see. So as I mentioned, feel free to chime in there. We're going to get into what the opportunity looks like for nonprofit organizations this time of year. We'll go over the products that we see that are very common right now, how to get a quote, and of course, answer all the questions that you have. So what we're going to start with are some of the trends that impact nonprofit organizations. Definitely a really unique area. It's something that I've been working on for the past 10 years in insurance, is nonprofits specifically. And what we've found is that it's a really fast growing segment in the country with a rate of growth of 5% each year. And it continues to show that. We actually just saw a report come out that the donations are stronger than ever with this past year, which is definitely interesting. A lot of carriers have changed their stance with how they're handling nonprofit organizations. It's an area that we continue to be very strong in, but there are some that have pulled out of either certain classes of business or coverages such as abuse and molestation. And we are just wanting to highlight all that we're able to offer on the package side. Nonprofits definitely have unique requirements in certain areas. Maybe in the past they had been able to rent space for free from an organization or a church, and now they're being asked to have insurance, proof of insurance in place in order to occupy a space. We can offer limits up to $1 million, 1 million, 3 million for abuse in certain circumstances. We can offer umbrella and excess for nonprofit organizations. A lot of times there are de-emphasized focus on smaller nonprofit organizations or medium-sized ones. And there's so much opportunity there, and for us to write a lot of these. We see a really high renewal retention, specifically with nonprofits as well. And one thing you'll see and feel with writing business with Apogee and with USLI is the turnaround time that we can provide, getting you a quick quote over the phone. We can talk about all nonprofits over the phone and get quick quotes for you there. And then lastly, just the increase in frequency of claims against nonprofits, not just on the GL side, but also on the management liability side as well, for the directors and officers, and also the volunteers and employees who are working on behalf of the organization. We're going to start with our arts and culture product. Some of the bigger class codes here are your art galleries or studios, museums, and libraries, and also performing arts organizations. So a ton of the different class codes that we can consider are listed below. One thing to note here as well is that we can consider organizations that hold classes, camps, that type of thing. So maybe it's a performing art center with multiple performances throughout the year, but they're also teaching kids in the summertime, maybe when they're not holding as many performances. With this, we're able to offer all of these coverages listed below. We'd love to package it all in one policy for you, but we understand that they might have coverage in place elsewhere, so we're happy to do general liability, abuse, add on the management liability with the directors and officers. Abuse and molestation, really important, especially for those working with kids. We'll tack on the blanket additional insured, post liquor liability. So maybe they're not actually selling alcohol in exchange for a fee, but they're providing it, or people are BYOB for some of these performances. That's automatically built in, as well as all of their events and their rehearsals as well. Hired and non-owned auto is an important coverage for a lot of nonprofit organizations, not just limited to arts groups, just because their volunteers and employees will be utilizing their own vehicles on behalf of the organization. And that coverage is, an easy throw on for them to have and not have to worry about that coverage being missing. We can add the crime, so employee dishonesty coverage. Inland marine is crucial for these organizations who are traveling from place to place. Maybe they're not just at one specific theater location, but they travel around the country, and they have costumes, they have props, they have the back set up area for the art organization, and then the property as well, just if they do own the building or they're renting space for the business personal property, that type of thing. Umbrella is available for all of our nonprofit products. We can do up to 5 million on the umbrella side. So how do we rate for these? We will either rate on the square footage of space that they occupy, if it's something like a museum, library, art gallery, or historical society, or if it's a traveling theater group, ballet organization, they're holding concerts, then we'll ask about how many performances they have annually, and then the average number of attendees per performance. If they have the classes or camps, then we're just going to ask about the average number of students per class, and then the number of classes that they have each year. Pretty simple. Now we're going to get into sports. So if you can hit the next bullet here. Sorry, this one is a transitional slide. Sorry, Nathan. So keep clicking enter here. Sorry about that. So there are so many different sports organizations throughout the country, nonprofit and for-profit. We can consider both. We can do teams, leagues, camps, and clinics. But there are so many people that are involved in organized sports. So many people getting involved in pickleball and just all different types, golf as well. But basically, the need for insurance is pretty high, and this is a time of year especially for winter sports coming up, where we see registration and the need for insurance being triggered. So, as it mentions here in the slide, now is the time to promote sports organizations, teams, and camps, especially instruction too. So we'll do that as well on our commercial line side. So there's so many areas. I would just say, if you have a sports type of risk, you don't have to worry about what it is. Feel free to just call it in or go online, and we should be able to give you a quick quote. So I mentioned we can do for-profit or nonprofit. On the nonprofit side, we can include the management liability too. So the directors and officers and employment practices liability. We can do organizations that will just have one specific sport or that have multiple. So we'll just want to know what the different sports are to make sure we're rating appropriately. We're really going to rate on the age limit, so we'll get into that in a moment. And we're not doing school types of teams or leagues. So basically, it's your extracurricular types of activities that are not run by a school. And yeah, we'll do youth and adult. And yeah, thank you. There you go. So here's our appetite. Go back. You can go back to that one. Basically, what we're not writing right now are tackle football for when it comes to sports. Here, so if we can go back to the next one. That's really the main sport that we're not able to consider at this time. But yeah, we can consider a ton of different types of sports on. If it's not something that's specifically listed on here, feel free to chime in the chat, and I'll let you know. We have another class code that we can utilize that's called not otherwise classified, and we can still consider those for you, even though it's not specifically listed. things like Padel and stuff are becoming super popular. So again, we can provide limits up to 1 million, 3 million, up to 1 million for youth-focused organizations. Automatic assault and battery sublimit is included. So this exposure is based for, people getting rowdy in the stands, spectators, maybe getting into an argument. But again, coverage for their special events are automatically provided for the organizations, even fundraising types of things. So if they're having a car wash, a banquet at the end of the season, all of that, all their practices are automatically included as well. And again, can consider the property, all of their equipment, and on the inland marine, and also property, business, personal property, and building. We do have an optional accident medical quote that you can receive. There is a third-party organization that we work with that does provide that coverage. And if they have that in place, then we will then become excess on top of that accident medical coverage. So we're not the ones providing that initial accident medical, but we'll go excess on that, and we give you that coverage option with your quotes. Something that we get questions on all the time. It's really important to make sure they're covered for that too. And then excess and umbrella. So the next class of business, or the next product that we're going to get into, is our charities and business associations product. This one is a really big one. It encompasses so many different classes of business. You'll see a lot of them mentioned here, but a lot of them get started for the year kicking off in the fall. So especially parent-teacher organizations or booster clubs, I would say, but a lot of their events just really start in the fall for fundraising types of situations. We also, on this class of business, will do support groups, membership organizations, a lot of organizations just involved in fundraising, spreading the word, trying to promote a cause that they're passionate about. Could be a hobby club as well. And this is an area where we do a lot of upselling. So maybe you are just getting a request to write a one-time special event. We really try to capitalize on those opportunities to say, hey, can we write their annual policy and include coverage for their special events for the entire year? And then from there, you could also sell their directors and officers, employment practices, and then umbrella on top of that as well. So just something good to note. And then we can get to the next slide, Nathan. Thank you so much. So we write this product on our preferred package, which is admitted in most states. It's similar to a business owner's policy. So what does that mean? It automatically provides a bunch of bells and whistles coverage built into the policy. So $5,000 of contents automatically provided. Minimum premium starts at $395. First, this one we do rate on the number of events that they have throughout the year. So these tend to be a lot more event heavy. So we want to make sure we're capturing the right exposure there. Also, in most states, we can provide commercial liquor exposure for these types of organizations. If they have events where they are selling alcohol in exchange for a fee, or maybe the price of a ticket includes a free drink, we would consider that to be a commercial liquor exposure. And we'll just ask up front, how many events do they have that are under 250 people? How many are between 251 to 2,500? And then how many events with a commercial liquor exposure, and then rate from there. We have flexibility here with rating on the number of members or the square footage of space occupied. So a lot of times it is at the minimum premium because the organizations are on like the smaller end. But again, we can include the abuse, directors and officers, package it all up together, and also include the educational enhancement endorsement for organizations like business associations who are providing like workshops, seminars to the members of the group. I wanted to just point out one other thing that was listed on the slide. We've found that when you can find one chapter of an organization, it's really important, and we've been able to find, like, just to find out where that risk is coming from and how we can get more of it, to find just like an opportunity for a program. So maybe it's like the Young Friends of Insurance in Philadelphia. Well, how did they get that? Maybe they're connected to different cities, different organizations in other areas, and then kind of, word of mouth gets out and they all start coming to you for that, for that coverage in place. So the programs that they previously were covered under are not all there anymore. So they're required to have their own insurance in place. So we want to just make sure we're getting the word out for a lot of these smaller type of organizations that were once covered under a program. So moving on to the next slide. So I mentioned a little bit about the special events. The first three events under 250 attendees are automatically provided with no charge. That also includes their host liquor. And it is so nice, let me tell you, to not have to schedule events every single time they have one. It is just such a great peace of mind knowing that they're covered throughout the year. We'll go up to 2,500 attendees. If they do have events that are larger than that and they anticipate it, we can definitely consider for you on a separate special event policy. And again, we're really intending to cover those, like, not too large type of events or festivals or anything like that. It's more so about like galas, and maybe it's a smaller concert, smaller scale type of thing, farmers market, that type of exposure. And then, yeah, the annual coverage, a lot of times we will tell you that it is actually makes more sense from an economical standpoint to do the blanket special event rather than individual special event policies. And they renew really well year over year. And then we talked a little bit about the ability for us to add management liability on, but what actually is that coverage? Who needs it? And who does it address? What exposures? Basically, if you're serving on behalf of a nonprofit organization, it will cover the wrongful acts of the board members and individual directors and officers. And the request that we get the most is to remove employment practices liability from the quote. And we try to have this conversation every time that volunteers are covered, and doesn't have to be an actual employee. Volunteers, we've found, have had, or EPLI, I should say, has been our most frequent type of claim that we've been receiving on nonprofit organizations. So just wanted to highlight that because we get the request to remove it so much, and third-party discrimination and harassment allegations are areas where we see probably the most type of claims. And again, it could be somebody on LinkedIn that was offended by something an organization said, or even on Facebook, or maybe they felt like they were not included in an event. We've seen so many different random types of claims that you just want to make sure the organization is protected, and that you're protected as well as the agents, making sure that you're giving them this as an option to present to your clients. I want to make sure we have enough time for our instant quote demo, so you can get to the next slide here, Nathan. And then on here, we wanted to just provide you with some tools to help find and target nonprofit organizations. You can feel free to reach out to clients that you already have to ask them if they sit on different boards or what nonprofits they're involved in. Maybe it's their church, who knows, maybe they're coaching their kids, their soccer team, or whatever type of sport. There are so many different connections that you can make and find with nonprofits. And then a lot of times you just see the word of mouth coming in. CauseIQ.com is an amazing resource for you to target specific types of nonprofits in specific areas. I would encourage everyone to just check that out. If you are on this, you're definitely interested in learning about nonprofits. It's such an amazing tool. You can find so many leads. It gives you so much information when it comes to their rating, when it comes to their revenues, and just a lot of tools to help you find clients and target specific areas. So you can look specifically for human and social service risks if you wanted to. And it actually goes even further than these classes that are listed here. Again, really important to cross-sell and upsell on the special events and also on the directors and officers coverage. The Business Resource Center is something that every single policyholder has access to, and it provides so many amazing tools for the nonprofits to utilize. The ones that we talked about today specifically benefit from our Business Resource Center. So things like sports organizations, they have access to resources for concussion awareness or abuse policies that they should implement, CPR training, that type of thing. There's so many great tools on there that help with, making sure the nonprofit is running smoothly.
Perfect. Well, I think this is the part where I take over. Thank you very
Thanks,
much,
Nathan.
Hillary. Thank you for bearing with me as I was flipping through slides there a couple of times. I was just very, very excited to get to this part of things where I get to talk about
You did
instant
great.
quote.
Thank you.
Thank you. So first and foremost, what is instant quote? For anybody who is unfamiliar, simply put, it's the fastest way to get a quote with USLI's streamlined platform. When you dial this number right here, 888-845-1637, you'll be connected to one of our 90 plus underwriters who are on the instant quote team, ready to assist you with their extensive product knowledge, and they're there to answer any questions that you may have. The underwriter will ask around 8 to 10 key rating information questions to generate a premium. And then once that premium is generated, you'll get a quote directly to you, along with a pre-filled application ready for your applicant to verify and sign. And then in addition, we get questions about this a lot. If you call in for a risk that maybe USLI is not a fit for, something that we don't write, then we would transfer you back over to Apogee to give them an opportunity to take a look at it and see if there's a market that they have access to that would be a better fit for that risk. So there is never going to be a decline on our part when you call in. We'll let you know if we're a fit for it, and then get you transferred back over to Apogee if we are not. Instant quote is a benefit to you because simply put, it saves you guys time. You don't need to fill out an application beforehand. You don't need to be an expert on the products. You'll receive a pre-filled application once the quote is generated, and you can reach us from anywhere. You don't need to be in your office. You can just be wherever your phone is. Set us the speed dial, hit 9, give us a call. We're there for you guys from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern time on Monday through Friday. And then for all my weekend warriors out there quoting business before they're hitting the golf course on Saturday, we do have availability from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. We have underwriters located all across the country, our home office in Wayne, Pennsylvania, but branch offices all across to be able to offer those extended underwriting hours and to be available to you guys whenever you're looking to get a quote. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and step you guys through what the phone quoting process is like. Before I do that, first I want to make sure I show you guys this. This is what we call our instant quote postcard. It is something that should hopefully look familiar. These are all of the different products that we are able to quote on the phone or online through our instant quote platforms. So if you call that highlighted number in the top left-hand corner, which is what we're about to do here in just a second, or if you go in and access through apogeeinsurancegroup.usli.com, you would be able to quote these products. And if there's anything on here that you maybe didn't realize we were a fit for, that's why I like to show it to you guys, is these are all the different things that you would be able to do on the phone or online. So I'm going to go ahead and give an underwriter a call, and we're going to run through a test parent-teacher organization. And just to confirm, presenters, you guys can
Thank
hear
you for
on your
calling
end?
USLI. We may collect personal.
Okay, perfect.
Thanks for calling USLI. This is Sal.
Hey, Sal, this is Nathan on the Instant Quote sales team. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. I was calling in hoping to do a test quote for a parent-teacher organization. We're here with some agents on Apogee, from Apogee Insurance Group.
Okay, sure thing. That's great. Yeah, happy to do so. Okay, so I'm going to get you pulled up here, and we're going to run a quick test go through Apogee Insurance Group. And I'm just going to put in, just for the sake of today, just purposes, just put in a kind of a test agency group. And what type of risk were you looking to get a quote for?
I guess the parent-teacher organization, just run a couple events, fundraising events during the school year. Just a couple parents, helping out.
Okay. Yep. Sounds great. This is certainly a product we can help with. Okay. So as far as parent-teacher organization goes, I have that loaded here. About how many members do you think are affiliated with the association? We'll just use a test number, maybe 15, 20?
Yeah, I was going to say maybe like 30 or something along those lines.
Okay.
It's a little bit of a bigger
Yeah,
school.
let's do 30. Okay. And total annual revenue, I can plug in just an estimate here, maybe $50,000 or less. Does that sound?
Yeah, 50,000 sounds like a good number to use.
Okay. And just the physical address?
For testing purposes, we'll just do 123 Main Street. And for zip code, we'll do 19087.
Okay, great. Okay, with this product, we will include just a default amount of $5,000 business personal property. It essentially is offered on a BOP form. In addition to that, we can also offer directors and officers coverage, and that all would be packaged together on a single policy. And it is available on an admitted basis in the state of Pennsylvania. Just the last thing from you I would need here, Nathan, is just an estimate on the number of events that they may host this year. Oftentimes we see anywhere from 1 to 10 events potentially throughout the course of the year.
Yeah, we'll say 5, back to school, wintertime, back from that. 5 events sounds like a good number.
Great. Okay. All right. So we'll plug that in, and the blanket form the event form is on a blanket basis. So we do automatically provide coverage for all events over the course of a 12-month period of time. We're also going to include at no cost a blanket additional insured. Any other additional coverage options needed today? We could potentially offer abuse and molestation, hired on an auto coverage. I don't know if either of those are needed.
Not at this time, but it's good to know that they're there.
Okay, great. All right, well, if that's everything, let me just give you a quick run through of the quote. Again, we're going to be quoting this through Apogee Insurance Group. We will send a copy to Apogee as well as a copy of this quote to yourself. This will be written on United States Liability Insurance Company paper. It is available again on an admitted basis. We are an A++ rated carrier. Total annual premium is going to come in at $1,188, and that's going to be comprised of the business owner's package, which is $451, as well as management liability, essentially our directors and officers and employment practices coverage, which also extends to volunteers, which is a nice value add for the organization. Again, package everything together after just fees here, $1,188 total annual premium. I'm going to go ahead and get a copy of this sent over to you. Any other questions or changes?
No, I think that sounds good. Thank you so much for your help.
Okay, great. All right, I'll have this over to you in just a moment. Thanks so much.
Appreciate it, Sal. Have a good one.
Take care.
All right, so all in all, around 4 minutes. Feel free to chat in what you guys thought of that process. If you hadn't seen it before, that's what it's going to look like. Giving a call to this number at the top of the screen, getting connected with an underwriter, and then having somebody there with you every step of the way. Looking for other opportunities to package things along with the risk, and letting you know what some of our limits and some more details on our underwriting guidelines, and then getting a quote over to you right away. So that's what to expect after the call, is that a copy of the quote along with the pre-filled application, like I mentioned, and point of sale materials will be immediately emailed over to you. And then Apogee will also receive a copy of the quote, so that when you're going through the binding process afterwards with your applicant, all of that information can get sent over to Apogee, and they have that quote available to them right then and there. In summary, USLI is the best place for you to get a quick quote. The Instant Quote team is here to turn around any business that we are fit for, and we do our best to make sure that everything is easy to quote, and reaching you guys where you want to be met. No accord forms are needed. Just call into that 888-845-1637 number, and someone will be with you as soon as possible. Again, there are the underwriting hours and where you could reach us online. So thank you so much for your time. If you guys have any questions, feel free to chat them in. Hillary and I will stick around a little bit to answer anything that comes in. But if you guys don't have anything, we really appreciate you joining us here on this Wednesday afternoon, and we hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Nathan, and thank you, Hillary.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks everyone for joining.
Yes, thank you, everyone, and we'll hang around for a couple of minutes, like Nathan said, if any questions do come up.